Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. So today I'm kicking off the new series, Women Mean Business. So if you follow me on Instagram, you'll have heard me speaking all about this new series on my channel, where essentially I'm going to be interviewing loads of women in different like parts of business industries, just to give you that sort of inspiration and motivation that maybe you've been lacking or that you're looking for. So today we're starting off with Toni, who's my first guest. Toni is pretty much an all-rounder. I'm so inspired by her journey so far, and the fact that she's only 24 and is doing all these amazing things is just one of the reasons why I thought I need to have her on first. So without further ado, let's introduce Toni.
Oh my
How you
God.
doing, Toni?
Hello. I feel so honored and privileged to be first. It's just, wow, really
No,
privileged, really
no,
honored. Thank
definitely, because
you.
I don't know if you guys will know, I've also been on Toni's Instagram, also one of her Instagram pages, should I say, and we did like a bit of interview on my side also. So I thought, no, it'd be great to speak, well, get more of like Toni's like experience and share that with you guys. So yeah, Toni is owner of first of all Taintless Property Solutions. So that is estate agency service, and then also she's got a clothing brand which she co-owns with her best friend, and she also has a women in property platform page on Instagram where she basically shares a lot of content, does similar interviews with other women in property to give that inspiration and motivation also. So yeah, Toni, if you want to take the lead and give us a bit more about what you do, your journey, like yeah, just a bit more about you really.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So a bit about my background. Let's start with. I don't know if you want to go as far as childhood, but
Mm,
basically, I always kind of had like an entrepreneurial streak in me.
yeah.
Um, so, for example, I think that journey really started when I was like 12. Um, so my sister, she used to care for this elderly man, and he always used to give her these like big packets of sweets. I don't know if he was like a manufacturer, like candy manufacturer, those type of people, but
Mm,
he always had like these weird, like different kind of like American sweets.
yeah.
My sister used to always just like load me up with them, right? Um, so one day I was thinking, hold on a second, like I'm always getting these sweets. Why don't I actually sell them and make money? Because I'm getting like £2 a day. Like it would be good to,
Mhm.
at that point at 13.
Yeah.
Um, so then yeah, 12 or 13, I started like selling those sweets in the playground to like my fellow what's it called
Classmates.
classmates. Yeah, I was gonna say students, but yeah. So then I started selling into my fellow classmates and like started getting like £5, £7, like started like building up. And then it really just took off from there. Then I've always had an interest in fashion, always been very creative. So when I got to, I think it was 13, 14 at that point, um, I don't know if you remember the trend back then, like the Levi shorts. I don't know if
Which
you,
one?
they were like the Levi shorts people used to wear back in the day. I
Not
think
when we were in school.
they were like,
The really short ones.
well, not the really short ones, but like like the vintage.
Yeah, yeah, like high waisted Levi's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So my uncle actually he would buy like bulks of like the jeans, like £2,
Mm.
£3 off eBay, and I'd basically like cut them into shorts, dye them, stud them up, all of that type of stuff. Um,
Oh.
yeah, and I would sell them, and then I did some like tie dye stuff as well. So that was all in school, and then it just kind of escalated from there. Yeah, and then what happened next? So yeah, so at college I studied art and design, and then I was supposed to go to uni to do fashion buying and brand management.
Mhm.
But at that time I didn't feel that was the right route for me. I kind of wanted to continue working, earning money, saving, that type of thing. So the next best thing was property.
Mm.
um but at that time I didn't know if it was for me, because I've always been very creative, and I thought it was a bit, what's the word, yeah, I didn't really think it would fit me, right?
Yeah.
But as I started to look into it, I started to see like the benefits, especially the financial benefits, and thought this could actually work for me as well.
Mhm.
But yeah, so from that point onwards, just started reading more books, going to more like events and stuff like that, did a few
Yeah.
courses. and then started off. I worked for a few agencies as well whilst I was doing all of that. So I worked for 2 private agencies, and then 2019 I left and basically started my own agency. So I started sourcing properties, on a few rent to rents as well. Now we still source for private investors. We also source for the local housing authority, and also manage properties as well now. So that's that side of things.
Yeah.
With the brand that started this year actually, a few months ago, but the concept developed last year, and we kind of obviously put it into the brand this year. But yeah, that clothing brand, I'm actually wearing it there.
Oh, I like that
It's
because you do a lot of like, is it one pieces and cords and stuff?
yeah, so this
Yeah.
this one is like
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's
yeah,
definitely yeah.
a little two-piece. Yeah, so this brand is called Iremia, and it's basically, not to be too deep, but I basically how do you put it? I really tapped into the spiritual side last year.
Because you
So
got baptized recently.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, exactly. So what's it called? I had an encounter, and it's a
Yeah.
faith-based brand.
I love
So
that.
yeah, it's actually based. I don't know. There's this chapter in the Bible. It's Proverbs 31, where
Yeah.
it talks about the ideal lady and all that. So that's what the brand is actually inspired by.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a faith-based brand. I have that with my best friend. So yeah, that's really exciting. I'm really looking forward to
Oh.
where that's gonna go. And then women in the property industry, started that last year as well, and that's basically an online community for women where we can help each other, encourage each other, any advice based on the property world, and we can basically bring everybody together. So yeah, sorry for talking so. Oh my
Lots going on with you. No. That's why you're here, and I love it because, like, I love the fact that you're doing property, but then also on the other hand, you've got your passion going, which is like fashion and clothing. And as you were like saying your journey, I actually wanted to like ask the question of like, how did property even come into the picture for you? Because obviously you were interested in designing and like putting things together yourself. So it was like, so for me, is it a thing where you decide to move into property as a way to supplement your income and get some income flowing in to maybe further your other desires? Is
god.
that what it was?
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly what it was. Yeah.
Okay. So, and then where did your, like, the idea of property, where did that even come from? Was it just general research, or was it that you had, people in your family or knew your friends that were going into the property industry? Like, what was it that kicked it off for you?
Yeah, that's a good question. So to be honest, yeah, no one in my family really owns or is interested in property like that. I mean, the house that I live in, my aunt and uncle own that. But we don't really have many like landlords or like that in my
Mm,
family.
yeah.
Uh, so it wasn't really like a family thing. I would say it was just a thing where I always wanted to own my own property, like in the future when I was, from young, right? Because that's
Mhm.
obviously goals, a part of life.
Yeah.
Um, you work, you save up, and then you eventually buy your own property. So I've always kind of followed that pathway in that sense.
Mhm.
But as far as like really tapping into that industry and becoming a professional,
Mm.
that only really started in 2017 when I was supposed to go to uni. I didn't end up going, and I just looked further into property, and I thought, okay, this is actually something that I can do.
Yeah.
Especially after reading the books and seeing that you can actually be a bit creative as well.
Yeah.
You and you can kind of combine the two. So there was room for that, which was quite
Mm.
good. And then yeah, just decided to just dabble into it and thought if I can use this, I do actually enjoy property as well.
Yeah.
I thought if I can do this and kind of use it as a vehicle to do what I truly want to do, just
Yeah.
put them together.
Yeah.
Obviously it's not easy, but
Why not? Yeah. It's all
is
about you put in that work now essentially for that better future, which is really
yeah,
like what we're striving for.
yeah,
And it's just really great to see someone like of your age. I keep saying it all the time because I'm just like, no, wow, 24. And even you saying that, oh, obviously the dream from when you're younger is to like, obviously grow up and own your own property. But like, to be honest, that's not a lot of people's aspirations. And
Really?
so it's not. I don't think, like, even our generation, I feel like a lot of people are caught up in the wrong things, and maybe it might be because they feel that it's unaccessible.
Mm,
They
mhm.
feel like, oh, the way that house prices are going and things like that, like, just properties, just it's not for me. Let me not even think about it. Let me just enjoy my life, kind of thing, and do what I can do. I think
Yeah,
that's a part of what's playing in people's minds. But no,
yeah,
it's really great to hear that, from a young, from when you were young, you had these aspirations and you're making it a reality, as well as pursuing your other passions as well, which is just great. And like the whole point of basically why I started this series. So yeah, really happy to have you on once again. So in terms of like now, okay, property. So we've spoken about, your businesses.
mhm,
So property wise, you've got Taintless Property Solutions, but you
mhm,
also have some rent to rent yourself, don't you?
mhm. Yep, yep.
So you've got, is it two?
Yeah, two at
Yeah.
the moment. Trying to take one on with my business partner at the moment. Going back and forth, been back and forth for weeks now. It's just one of those things,
Yeah. No,
Um, a bit tedious, but yeah, hoping to build that. Also manage properties as well. So
yeah.
have a small portfolio managing properties.
Mhm.
Just private management, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, which can be a handful, but
Of course. No, honestly, you literally cover the whole spectrum of property at this point, which is another amazing thing. So let's talk a bit about, like, so what made you choose rent to rent as a
yeah.
strategy?
Yeah, so rent to rent was actually the main strategy that I was interested in the most when I encountered property.
Yeah.
Um, but of course, back then I didn't have the funds. I wasn't really sure how to do it. Um, Hence why I did a course and then got a job as an estate agent.
Mhm.
Um, so I did that and then stumbled across property sourcing and
Mhm.
thought, okay, this is actually how I can fund, rent to rent, everything else. So why not focus on that, source as many deals as possible? And on that side of things, it's mainly rent to rent, service accommodation deals. At that time as
Mhm.
well, I was sourcing. And then yeah, it just kind of branched out into rent to rent and property management. So those are the aspects that I cover in the property business.
Okay. No, that's really good. So,
Yeah.
all right. So rent to rent now. So I know obviously a lot of people do start off with rent to rent because, as you said, have like the funds, especially when you're starting off, is not all there. So
Yeah.
obviously, you find those different ways to raise capital. So I'm definitely getting that it's been like a stepping stone for you, and it's
Mhm.
a great way to generate cash flow as well, which is why, I mean, most people do rent to rent.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so just to highlight on that point, essentially, that, if anyone is, watching, and, you've been questioning like whether to get into property or not, and you've been thinking like, oh, I don't have the funds, like, this is exactly, where you can get started. Tony's done it, many people have done it, and honestly, I think it's there's not really much to it, I suppose. The more like thinking you do about something, the more you overthink, the more like it just makes the reality so distant from you. But if you
Mm.
just go for it, take one step at a time. As Toni said, she started off, in estate agency just because it allowed her to get her foot in the door. Like, literally,
Yeah.
there's so many pathways into property, or, various other ventures that you might be thinking of, and it's just about taking that step forward. So yeah, really great to hear that from you. And
Yeah.
then so if we take it on a little bit, then
Yeah.
in terms of, so okay, obviously you said that you use sourcing rent to rent as a way to build cash flow. I was gonna say, how else have you like managed to generate capital for your different business ventures? So as well as, getting money for rent to rent, even your clothing brand, like raising capital, how have you done that? Did you find that easy? You
Yeah.
know,
It's just exactly like what you said. When you have a vision in mind and you want to do something, you will do it. And also, I wanted to add back to your last what you were saying lastly. Um, People often advertise rent to rent as passive income. Guys, it's not passive, right?
mm,
It's not passive.
nah, a lot of work.
Yeah, it's not like it's very hands on. I mean, unless obviously if you have systems, and systems do make things easier. When
Mm,
you have them in place. But if there's an issue with the internet, if there's an issue with what's it called, if something's broken, you have to fix it. minor issues, you have to pay for it. And yeah, it's quite hands-on, guys. So just if you are exploring that rent to rent route, just to give you the heads up, it's not all what they call it out to be. It's not passive. So yeah, I just wanted to put that out there. Yeah, but so as far as the other stuff, yeah, so basically I do multiple things inside the property business as well. So I have the sourcing. I do also do. I'm a woman of many trades in the rental field.
Mm.
So sourcing. I also rent properties for private landlords as well. So I generate cash through property sourcing for the companies and the clients, the investors.
Yeah.
Private rentals, so renting out properties for landlords. Property management. So yeah, managing properties and rent to rent, and also working with the local housing authority as well, sourcing them properties. So those are basically my forms of income, which allow me to save and invest in other areas.
Okay, fantastic. So I guess it's worth calling out also then, as you said, obviously rent to rent, people advertise it as, hands off, passive income. No, it's not. So that is where if you did want it to be more passive for yourself, you need to take on a management company, which is basically what you also offer. So if you wanted rent to rent, if you wanted to go into rent to rent and you want to take hands off for yourself, then you definitely want to get the services of somebody like Tony's company. So
Exactly.
yeah, okay, fantastic. So no, that's really good to hear. In terms of, sorry, I'm just referring to my questions from
Yeah,
earlier.
sure. Oh, yeah. But no, rent to rent is good for cash flow though. I mean,
Yeah,
compared to investing, 20, 50K in like a buy to let or something like that, you can invest smaller chunks and, get a good profit.
yeah.
Um, and so definitely, guys, and not to put you off, it's obviously very, very good still. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, and you know what as well? It actually, because obviously I want to buy as well in the future. It also kind of prepares you as well, like
Yeah,
if you manage your own properties. So that's also very good as well,
of course.
I
Very,
would
very,
say.
yeah. So all right. So in terms of your journey now, obviously over the years you would have learned a lot, but I suppose is there anybody in particular? Do you have any like mentors or like any content creators or just people in property maybe that you followed their journey, or are there any resources that encourage you and that have taught you along your journey?
Yeah. So there were a few actually. So when I first got into property, I was obviously going to like networking events and stuff like that. I did a course. I did a few courses actually. Samuel Lee's was very good. Um,
Okay.
so yeah, I did it with him. Very, very good and informative. Also, I did actually work with a guy who took me on like under his wing. His name is Adam Vickers. He he works with like, I don't know if you've heard of this sourcing company called Source at the time. I'm not too sure if he still does
Cool.
now. Yes.
Yeah, I think there's still, it's like a franchise.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, I've heard of
Yeah.
them. Yeah.
So he was like doing events for them at the time, so he kind of took me under his wing. I'm so grateful for that because I learned so much from him. Um, so shout out to him. And also I would say even my business partner that I work with now, because when I worked in the agency,
Mm,
he already had his own rent to rent portfolio going.
okay.
And at that time, I really wanted to do rent to rent. So I was like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, you have a rent to rent portfolio.
Mm,
And I learned a lot from him as well. He's really, really good, really a good businessman. And yeah, just other people as well. I mean, even the women that I've been speaking to on the platform, like so inspired by their journeys, like and it's really nice to see women doing property as well. Um,
mm,
yeah, so that's been really good. That's really opened my eyes up and really motivated me as well.
mm.
Uh, so yeah, and just yeah, that's it. That's what I would say really.
It is great to see, like, yeah, what you said about seeing more women in property. It definitely makes it a lot more like accessible and makes it feel like actually this is something that I can step into. Because for
Yeah,
such a long time, property has been so male dominated, and it's just like women just didn't have a space. But it's great to see like women actually owning the space.
Yes,
Like
exactly.
really big time. So yeah, it's a
Yeah,
good thing to see. And yeah, what me and you are both doing on our platforms is definitely what I hope can like touch many people's lives and really get them just to give them that extra push that they need if they're
yeah,
still doubting themselves and feeling like they don't have what it takes and whatever, like that, those kind of thoughts, like they don't belong here. So
yeah.
yeah, be good to hear your journey. And what's my next question? So future plans, obviously don't need to go into details because obviously I don't want to like, but like where do you see yourself in the next like few years, property wise, and just what are you trying to do?
Yeah. Do you know what? When it comes to that question, like there's so many things that I want to say, but
Yeah,
where I see myself, but I know you have to keep it quite
yeah.
thing. So, first and foremost, I see myself owning a property in the next few years. So that's my next goal that I'm trying to achieve.
Mhm.
Also, in regards to the brand, I do see that I want to see the brand in what's it called, in retail shops. I want to see it in like Selfridges,
Yeah,
um, that type of thing. So that's where we see the brand going. Um, and as far as Taintless, yeah, just develop a strong team of property professionals. I do have a small team right now, so I want to build them up, make sure that they're all, up to speed and everything, and branch out with that as well.
yeah.
Uh, and with the women platform, just continue growing that. Essentially, what I truly want to do as well is the coaching. I really like helping people. So in the upcoming years, I do see myself doing that as well. So offering those type of services. Um, um, and what else? Yeah,
That's a lot. That's a lot as it
a
is.
lot.
I
That's a
think
lot.
that's another thing as entrepreneurs. Like you say all the things you want to do, and it's just like it's still not enough. There's there's
Is that,
still something else I can add to the list, which is another downfall as well. But it's all good, I suppose. It keeps us out on our toes and like
yeah,
to keep progressing. So no,
ex-
it's good to hear that.
exactly,
I
exactly.
like I feel your aspiration. Yeah, no, it's the way.
Yeah.
It's the way to do things.
Do you know? Yeah.
I definitely see you. Yeah. Sorry, what you saying?
I was just gonna say, do you know what? I just feel like ultimately God has put us here to help people. So whether that be in any domain that you're in,
Yeah,
any industry, as long as you're adding value to people's lives,
literally. Yeah.
I think that is the ultimate goal. So
Mhm.
yeah, regardless
Yeah.
of what it is.
That's it. Yeah, because a lot of times, like, you could even that conversation or that argument about can money bring you happiness? It's like, obviously, we do these things for an income and to have a comfortable life for ourselves. But at the end of the day, if you're not touching anyone, you're not doing anything truly meaningful that's going to have an
Yeah,
impact, a positive impact on people, then you're
y-
never really going to be satisfied. So,
exactly. Yeah,
definitely, that you touched on that.
yeah.
And yeah, finally, I suppose any advice for people looking to break into your industry, so as well as property, also fashion, clothing, if you want to start up your own clothing brand, what advice would you give people?
Oh gosh, that's a heavy
It's a big
question.
question.
Um, so in regards to property, I would literally just say, step outside your comfort zone. I know that's very, very
Mm,
cliche, but literally step outside your comfort zone. Don't be scared of the no's. Keep
mm,
going. Do you know what I mean? Don't be disheartened or put off.
mm,
You're gonna get thousands of no's, but don't let it discourage you. Keep going. Always look at your goals. Always reevaluate them on a weekly basis, and remind yourself of why you're doing what you're doing. So if you have a really hard day, just look back on your goals and just think, okay, you know, refresh yourself and go back at it again.
yeah,
Um, I would also say do your research. Get as much experience in your field as possible, for the property aspect.
mhm,
Um, Obviously, and what else would I say? So research, get a mentor if you can, do the training courses as well. I would say invest in yourself is important. Um, and as far as the fashion brand side of things, what I would say in that is just, just let your creativity pour on what you're trying to do. Don't hold back. Don't be afraid of if you're going to offend anybody and things like that, because that's one of the stumbling blocks that I had with creating Iremia, me and my best friend. We was like, I don't know, because you know how people are a bit sensitive these days when it comes to like religion and stuff like that, but like literally don't let it back. If you have something, put it in your clothing, because clothing is a way to express yourself, right? So literally don't hold back in that sense. Also do your research as well. Look at your competitors. There's so many different ways of that's a whole nother conversation. But yeah, just make sure you know what you're doing in that sense. And overall advice is that like the life that we live is short. You know what I mean? It is really short, and I feel like when you die, what do you want people to know you as? What do you want people to be reminded of when they think of you? So definitely keep that in mind, and also, yeah, with that, what you're leaving behind. Even if it might not be money, but it might be, kindness or something. That type of thing. So definitely just go for it. Life is short, and there's so many things to tap into.
That's really nice. Thank you. But actually, let's just reel it in a little bit. I've got all the questions I wanted to ask you. I wanted to ask you, along your journey, especially in property, do you feel like you've made or taken any wrong steps that you feel that you couldn't come back from?
Yeah, that is a good question. Not really. Well, yes and no, because I wouldn't really say there's wrong steps, to be honest with you. Even if there are wrong steps, you can learn from them, and it's experience at the end of the day. So unless it's just, for okay, there was one rent to rent that we was setting up. That's one that we gave back this year, actually. And there was quite some issues with the internet which should have been sorted out beforehand. But obviously that was that this year or last year? I can't remember when it was now. Either this year, but it should have been sorted out a lot quicker. So in that sense, I could have. I learned speed, how important speed is with these type of things. But yeah, there's nothing that you can't really come back from, I would say. There's nothing. Yeah, it's all a lesson, all a learning curve.
And I think also, like, what that highlights is also the fact that with property it's so forgiving. So another thing that a lot of people fear when going into property is that, oh, what if I invest in a property and it doesn't, make money for me, or I just buy the wrong property, or I don't know, just all those kind of thoughts. Like, for me, I just really feel like property is so forgiving in the sense that accommodation is something that everybody needs. And I feel like even if it's, let's say, you overpay on a property, or maybe it didn't go exactly as you wanted in year one, there's year two, there's year three. It's a long-term game, and you will make your money back. Like, do you know what I mean? Inflation is real. House prices are constantly going up in the long run. So I just really want to highlight that to, anybody watching, that property is literally so forgiving, and is for me one of the safest or least risky investments, because it's something that you can rely on, that it's always going to remain steady and going up. So yeah, I just wanted to call that out. And so I think do you want to add something?
Yeah. I just wanted to add to that as well. Yes, because for example, last year was very difficult. Coronavirus, people moving out, not paying rent, all of that type of thing. It was very difficult. But now look, the market is normal now. So like what you said, it's a very forgiving industry, and always bounce back from it.
Yes, definitely. No, that's really good. I'm glad to hear it. So I think that brings us to the end of our interview. This has been really fun. Thank you again for joining, Toni. Guys, I'm gonna tag or include all of the tags for Toni's social handles, so that if you want to check out more of her services, you can definitely do so. Also, if you have any questions for Toni, please do drop them in the comments, or I'll also drop her email addresses in the comments also, in the description box, so that you can get in touch with Toni if you have any questions and would like to inquire about her services. So if you are interested, please do so. Once again, thank you, Toni. And yeah, this has been really good.
I really enjoyed it, honestly. I do love this stuff. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah, hopefully we'll have lots more of these sessions. So
yeah,
thank you guys for joining and watching.
Yeah. We'll speak, no doubt.
Yeah, we'll do it. All right then. Thanks, Toni. Catch you later, guys.